Welcome learners. So we are going to discuss module 3 in your 9th week, and the topic of our discussion today is this module 3, assessment in distance education. In distance education, assessment is a very important component. Design, curriculum, instruction, assessment, all these are quite important essential components in any kind of distance education program. So in this unit, basically, we shall try to help ourselves in achieving some learning objectives. So after listening to this discussion, I think as learners would be able to define assessment, would be able to differentiate between assessment and evaluation. Though many times we use the two words interchangeably, but there is some difference between assessment and evaluation. After being clear about the difference between assessment and evaluation, we shall try to understand the role of assessment in ODL, open and distance learning. Then we shall also try to elucidate the purposes of assessment. We shall try to understand the purposes of assessment in ODL system, open and distance learning system. We shall identify various types of assessment in ODL, and basically with this kind of learning objectives, let us start the unit. Any educational process is controlled by three major academic activities. One is the teacher. The teacher will be teaching the students, the learners. The learners will have to learn it, and then again the teacher will have to see whether the learners have learned that or not, and that's where assessment comes in. So as a type, as an educational system, it's input, process, output. Input, the teacher will provide the input, the learners will mobilize those inputs, assemble it, process it, and when the exam will be conducted, the learners would be able to produce the understanding, the knowledge, which the teacher will evaluate and then see whether learning has taken place or not. And since our childhood, every one of us, you and me, every one of us, we have come through the assessment process, is not it? We ourselves have experienced a number of assessments in our school days, college days, is not it? After learning something, we are assessed. As a learner, we have appeared in various examinations. You also have been appearing examinations. We also have to face various kinds of examinations, maybe professional, right? Like that. So we all are familiar with the assessment and evaluation system, but there are some finer intricacies. Those aspects we are discussing in this unit. In conventional mode of education, which we also call face-to-face education, unlike our open and distance learning, there also assessment takes place. In ODL also assessment takes place. But there are some differences. In ODL also, assessment is an indispensable component. We cannot think of any kind of evaluation system, any kind of educational system without the assessment and evaluation component. In the SWAYAM platform also, we talk about the 4 quadrants approach, and assessment and evaluation is one important quadrant. And as I have said, that this is an important quadrant. This is an innovation. Many times in online education, we find lots of innovations in design, execution, as well as evaluation. In ODL system, there is a separation between the teacher and the student. There is a separation between the counselor and the counselee, mentor and the mentee. And because of this separation, this system has got some unique challenges. And that's why in ODL system, in particular, the assessment intricacies are a bit different. So dear learners, before we delve into the issues, let us try to understand what is assessment. In education, the term assessment means the various methods, devices, tools, instruments that educators use to estimate, measure, record an academic readiness, learning progress, skill acquisition, or educational needs of students. If you carefully go through this long sentence, you will see that assessment implies methods, devices, tools, instruments. So these will be administered. Say method, devices, suppose a questionnaire is given or some statements is given, true or false, that becomes an instrument, isn't it? Suppose you are teaching someone how to type and you want to see the speed of typing. So in that case, you can give an instrument that give within 1 minute, let me see your typing speed. Within 5 minutes, how many words can you type? How many words can you correctly type? That becomes an assessment, isn't it? So it covers methods, devices, tools, instruments. It sees the academic readiness, learning progress, skill acquisition, or educational needs of students. So this is a very embracive statement, and this captures the entire essence of assessment. So it is an integral part of instruction, any kind of instruction, because it determines whether the goals of education are being met or not. Because through assessment only we will be able to see whether we have been able to achieve the purpose or not. So let us have some other aspects of understanding what is assessment. Assessment is a continuous interactive process which consists of two groups. One is the assessor, the second one is the SSC. One is the teacher, the other one is the student. One is the counselor, the other one is the learner. One is the mentor, the other one is the mentee. By whatsoever name you call. Two parties, the assessor and the SSC. The assessor may be the teacher, the management, or a regulatory statutory body. Suppose ours is an university. We are also assessed. Who assesses us? We are assessed by UGC. We are assessed by NAAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. So they assess us and then they give us a credit, accredited us. Accredit means in terms of a grade, say B+, A+. Isn't it? So we are also assessed as an institution. As an individual, you are assessed. You are assessed whether your performance is assessed. Your ability to absorb learning, that is assessed. So assessor may be the teacher, management, or a regulatory statutory body like UGC, NAAC. And the SSC may be the student, yourself, an institution like an university, or the various components of an institution. The assessor assesses the performance of the SSC on the basis of some criteria. Already defined norms, standards of any particular institutions. Suppose KK Hendricks State Open University will have got its own assessment tools. Indira Gandhi National Open University will have got its own assessment tools. UGC or say National Council for Teachers Education, or say National Assessment for Accreditation Council. Everyone will be having their different criteria, assessment criteria. Suppose NAC, while assessing an university, they have got a 7 criteria framework. Likewise, they will define the criteria against which they will assess. Likewise, many universities, you will have the concept of question bank, you have the concept of model questions, and the model questions carry certain marks. Based on that, the performance is assessed. So the aim of this assessment process is to determine the effectiveness of the overall performance of the SSC and the areas for future improvement. Dear learners, at this stage, let us try to understand, is there any difference between assessment and evaluation? Many times we use these two words almost interchangeably. Many words, like say goals and objectives, we use interchangeably, is not it? Effectiveness and efficiency, we use almost interchangeably, is not it? So likewise, assessment and evaluation also many times used interchangeably, but however, there appears to be some differences. It cannot be exactly treated as equivalent. The process of gathering, reviewing and using data for the purpose of improvement or in the present performance of the students, teachers, administrators, institutions, curriculum or any other stakeholders is called assessment in education. Likewise, as I have stated, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC. So NAC assesses. NAC assesses based on records, based on different mechanism. They collect the data, they review the data, then they assess. Whereas evaluation is basically about giving judgment. Say in NAC assessment also, say one team of experts visit the institution, makes interaction with the functionaries, then they arrive at some judgment. That part is called evaluation. And you can say that evaluation is a broader aspect which comprises assessment. So while giving judgment, providing value on the basis of defined criteria and evidence collected through assessment, this is evaluation. So evaluation will be based on assessment, and assessment will be based on some measurable criteria. Whereas evaluation, there will be some judgmental element. Judgment creeps in, and that is the purpose of evaluation. But at the same time, it cannot be based on whims. It has to be based on the outcome of assessment process. So in ODL system, what kind of assessment aspects we can look into? Different ODL institutions might have different assessment strategies, and these strategies are generally guided by the instructional design. Suppose it's a 4-credit course, it's a 2-credit course, it's a skill-based course, it's a knowledge-based course. There's a definite instructional design that will help in designing the assessment mechanism. And what could be the delivery media? If it is based on print media, SLM, in that case we can have different set of questions. If it is based on video, we can have different set of questions. At the same time, what is the time available, what will be the resources available, and what kind of support services are available. All these things will determine our strategy for assessment. And that's why it cannot be considered as uniform across ODL institutions, across programs. For certificate program, it could be different. For diploma program, it could be different. For UG level programs, it could be different. PG level, it could be different. For this particular institution, it could be different. Is that it? At the same time, there need to be some uniformity, consistency in meeting the regulatory requirements. That's what I am coming a bit later. Due to recent innovations in science and technology, many of us have experienced the COVID-19 situation. We all have experienced the proctored examination, machine proctoring, software proctoring examination. These are innovations. And that's why there has been a paradigm shift in ODL system. The ODL system has embraced e-learning, online learning, blended learning, massive open online courses, and so on, isn't it? We have seen so many of it. Simulations is taking place, isn't it? Portfolio is taking place. Different kinds of innovations are taking place in online education. And because of this, because assessment is an important component, assessment is also changing. And online assessments have been recent addition to the evaluation and assessment process. You cannot say as recent addition, it has been because of COVID, it has been widely practiced. In 2014, when there was a MOOC, it was considered as the MOOC year. In that year also, maybe 12 years back, there was also online evaluation, because MOOC, we cannot think about a MOOC without having online evaluation. All these aspects have got some flexibility. Flexibility, openness, innovation, these are the hallmarks in ODL system. At the same time, another aspect is that it's heterogeneous. Institution to institution, program to program, it varies. And that's why the ODL institutions offer different types of programs at different levels, from certificate, diploma to degree level. At the same time, credits also vary. And the distance learners, traditional mode, they study their own supplied study materials, self-learning materials, with audio and video programs. Face-to-face distance, sometimes they have face-to-face counseling, sometimes they get emails, postal, telephonic counseling, online counseling. They get the facilities of tutoring, counseling, mentoring. They get a plethora of services. Moreover, this ODL platform, the learners are of diverse background. They have different kinds of profile. Some of them may be aged, some of them maybe could be very young. Young learners could be very adept in online platform, whereas the aged learners might take some time, or it could be the reverse also. Compared to the young learner, we have also experienced the aged learners also are quite compatible with the digital technology. But whatsoever, there is diversity in the profile of learners. And that's why the ODL institutions have to develop their own form of education system to meet the requirements of diverse set of learners, their target learners. And that's how they will have to design their own available resources and media support. They need to comply to the requirements of regulatory agencies. ODL platform, say in India, UGC Guidelines 2020 on distance learning and online learning spells out the evaluation requirements. It says that formative assessment it should be 30%, and for summative assessment it should be 70. Earlier it was 20/80. So it has the requirement of assessment, and that the institutions will have to comply. So what are the different purposes that are served by assessment in ODL setting? First of all, it provides a feedback to the teaching learning process. By assessment, the teachers get the feedback. The learners also get the feedback about their learning performance. For the teachers and the institutions, they provide a direction to the course writers. The material has been very tough. The learners have not been able to understand. So they will not do well in assessment. So the writers of the material will get a feedback that we need to simplify it. At the same time, the learners have not been able to answer the questions, but the material was quite clumsy. Or it could be the way the material has been written, it motivates the learners to learn, and that's why they have been able to produce good results in assessment. So the distance institutions get different kinds of feedbacks, whether it has been able to inform the students about their progress, whether inbuilt there has been some mechanism to check your progress. It helps the guiding the coordinator in arranging print and other media. It also helps in informing the counselors, tutors about the effectiveness of their teaching strategies. It also provides grades and marks. This provision of grades and marks is a tangible outcome. Rest all is intangible. Purposes of assessment in ODL, another aspect is feedback on the system. It also helps parents, families, guardians of the students to know about their children's learning progress. Getting a good grade means what? But the students have been able to do well. And that helps the parents, families, etc. to play their own role. If a student is getting a good grade, the parents will have to take a role so that the student can sustain the good performance. Likewise, it helps the administrators and management to prepare future planning, to identify the areas where they need improvement to support their teachers. ODL institutions can take care of that. They can design new support services. They can design new support services for the course writers, editors, content editors, and they can determine their professional development needs. If some writers have not been able to write the materials well, they need to be trained. Likewise, it also gives us the feedback, the administrators and management, to arrange learner support services. Suppose the material is tough, we can think about providing a video tutorial according to the need of the learner. It can help the university or the institution to assist their governance and to take decisions regarding staffing and resourcing in the headquarters as well as the study centers, maybe the regional centers. It can also help the Ministry of Education, statutory educational bodies like say UGC, NAC, AICTE to review the existing policy, improve or change the practices, implement new policies so that the overall the ODL system gets developed. It can also help in assisting, guiding government organizations to take decisions regarding government funding and policy intervention to improve learning outcomes of the students. Dear learners, today it has become outcome oriented. Learning outcome needs to be integrated with assessment, and that has become the main focus of NEP 2020. So there are different types of assessment. One is the self-assessment. Self-assessment questions or check your progress questions in self-learning material. In between, the learner may find some check your progress, which you can check and you can compare your answer with the answers given at the end of the unit. That is also a kind of assessment. It is not graded. The learner can assess himself or herself. That is self-assessment. That is also a type of assessment. So these type of questions are put to compensate for the absence of classroom teaching, because in classroom teaching the teacher can ask the questions and the students can verify their answers. But in distance learning that is not possible. That's why it's very important that these self-assessment questions or the check your progress questions are embodied in the system itself. It should be an inbuilt exercise. Whenever a distance learner wants to know about his or her progress, no teacher is available to give him or her some kind of feedback. So in this context, as I have told you, these check your progresses serve very useful purposes. It helps the learners to get the feedback about their learning progress immediately. And this can be designed with multiple choice questions also. You ask the learner to choose the option. If the option is correct, okay. If the option is wrong, why the option is wrong, that part also can be stated. Or the reason of different options, choosing options. So this serves as a formative assessment tools. Formative evaluation tools. It helps the learners to learn better. Mostly objective type questions and short answer type of questions are given in this type of tests. Continuous assessment, NEP 2020 also stresses on this. The assessment has to be continuous. In distance education, continuous assessment is done through assignments in most cases. There are some exercises, other exercises are also given, multiple choice questions are also set. Many institutions also adopt this multiple choice questions examination as continuous evaluation. Normally, assignments carry 25 to 30% weight in overall assessment. This is a two-way communication, because assignments, I give the assignment and the learner will submit the assignment and will be given the grade. Not all. The learner needs to be given the feedback. So this is a two-way communication process, the learner and the distance teaching institution, or the tutor and the teacher. Assignments also help the learner to decrease the sense of isolation, because learners feel isolated because they are not having constant touch with their faculty. So this helps them. And the assignment evaluator gives written feedback or comment on the assignment response. In your self-learning material, you will find different kinds of assignment response. Sometimes we may give, it's well done, very good, you have covered all the points. No, you have not taken care of this point. In your assignment, you could have considered this aspect also. If the teacher gives this kind of feedback, the learner find it helpful to make progress in learning. So there could be some positive points, there could be some negative points. Ultimately, the objective is to help the learners by these formative assessment tools. And another, the important one is the term end examination. At the end of the semester, or at the end of the year, if it is annual exam, or if it is trimester system, is at the end of the quarter. So it could be semester, it could be annual, it could be trimester, or it could be month-end, whatsoever, depending upon the term. So term end examination is the final examination. This can be organized once or twice in a year, or maybe thrice in a year if it is trimester, depending on the institutional policy and the complexity of the course. So we may say that annual system, it is annual, isn't it? Once in a year. Trimester, it is thrice in a year, whatsoever. But this is many times is a paper and pen based activity. And some programs it could be practical, it could be based on dissertation, project, viva, that also depending upon the instruction, depending upon the design. So the term end examination normally carries about 60 to 75% weight in overall assessment. Term end examinations are, for example, a summative evaluation. A few minutes back I told you about the UGC 2020 guidelines. It has got that terminology: formative assessment, summative assessment. Formative 30, summative 70. Weightage. So after appearing in term end examinations and getting pass mark, the student is promoted to the next semester or the next year, not it? So here comes the question of marking and grading. So while discussing assessment, we may discuss it with examples. Suppose one student, Sushruta, secures 95% in science test. Means out of 100, 95% he has been able to score. Misiki achieves A grade in project work. A grade, there could be A plus, there could be B, depending upon the scale. So here we can have an understanding about the performance of these two students, Sushruta as well as Misiki, isn't it? Likewise, we can take different examples. So one is getting marks, the other one is getting grade. So assessment is normally done through quantifiable marking and grading. Both the practices are followed in ODL system. Now with ABC, Academic Bank of Credit, it is quite mandatory to have grades by the institutions. So marking system means assessment of a student's or an answer script on the basis of numbers. That means providing marks from 0 up to 100. Right? Isn't it? This is 0 to 100 scale. Someone can get 0, someone might score up to 100 also. And grading is the process by which different levels of assessment of the students, in case, are converted to some symbol, say A, B, like that. And there could be some other forms of assessment also, in addition to formative assessment and summative assessment. It could be peer assessment, group assessment. Assessment is used to assess the work done by students of equal status. Project assessment, many programs, and NEP 2020 has made it mandatory almost. Portfolio assessment is a systematic record of performance of the learners to display achievement of certain set of objectives over a period of time. Or it could be viva, oral examination. That is also an important aspect of evaluation. The students are asked to present seminar presentation. Based on the presentation, the students are assessed. It is conducted to assess and improve learners' language proficiency, leadership abilities, team spirit, isn't it? On internship, sending the students to work in some organization and then submit a report. And then learners, we find the online assessment, offline assessment. Online assessment of examination, as I have told you, after COVID, it has been widely accepted. And nowadays, it's widely accepted. Many of the tests, like say NET, SLATE, etc., are conducted online, isn't it? So this is an important component, e-assessment. And here the online examinations are conducted to measure the knowledge, attitude of the participants on a given topic or a variety of topics. And with online examinations, students can perform the exam online in their own time and with their own device, or sometimes it could be prefixed, it could be proctored, and it requires the technical devices, technical gadgets, like say browser, internet connection, all these things are. And this online examinations has become quite popular among the students. So we have discussed various aspects of assessment. So let us just sum up what we have discussed. We have discussed that assessment is an activity by which we can know the progress or rate of achievement of the students in terms of the learning outcome. That is clear. On the other hand, we have to act as an evaluator. We judge the qualitative, quantitative data or scores achieved by test, and the test has that mechanism, must have that mechanism of measurement and assessment. As in conventional system, in ODL system also, ODA assessment plays a very crucial role. Assessment in ODL system has taken a new form in a better way in terms of assignment administration, online examinations, etc. And the teachers and the students, more especially the online evaluators, assessors, they also have to help their respective institutions to run efficiently and smoothly by conducting the assessment processes. Assessments are divided into various categories. We have discussed self-assessment, formative assessment, continuous assessment, term assessment, peer group assessment, project assessment. We have discussed all those in the unit. So in distance education, continuous assessment is done through assignments. Sometimes written feedbacks are taken and the assignments responses are sent to the learners, which are given as tutor comments, and the learners are supposed to help themselves by these comments. And there could be different comments we can give in the assignments, evaluators. Okay, well done, you have covered this point, you have not covered this point. You have covered this point very well, the learner get a feedback. And a recent development in ODL system is mostly because of the 4-quadrant approach. Massive open online courses have come, MCQs have come, and all these things have made assessment and evaluation a very challenging task in ODL system. So all these things we have discussed in this particular unit. Hope you have enjoyed this video, you have enjoyed this discussion. I wish you all the best. Let you read the self-learning material and then you get yourself prepared for the next units in this course. Thank you very much. Thank you.